They just told me, well, it's a mystery. Good luck.
That's Leonor. She has pain that feels like thoracic outlet syndrome and dealing with doctors who aren't sure what's going on. And just like you,
all the exercises that I had tried before that the therapist gave me did not work in the way that it helped maybe a bit, but then something made that the pain got worse. So I could never do the exercises for a long period. I always had to go down or stop.
You see, here's the problem. Exercises are a great way to prevent pain from happening, but they're terrible at getting rid of pain fast, especially if there's tight muscles within the body. Think of it like this. The king on the chessboard is one of the most important pieces to the game because if you capture it, you win the game. But the most powerful piece is going to be the queen with the ability to pretty much move anywhere on the board. Well, in this situation, exercise is king because it's going to help you prevent that pain from happening. But if you're already in pain and you want to get rid of it fast, then you need that queen by the king's side. You need both massage and training.
With the massages, I am now able to do some exercises with no flare-ups, with no reaction to this motion.
That's why in this part 1 out of 4 mini-series, I'm going to be showing you how she developed pain like this in the first place, why her exercises that are supposed to be helping her are actually creating more pain. I'm going to be showing you my theory for why muscles get tight in the first place, especially around the scapula. And of course, I'm going to be showing you how massage can help it all.
Now, what I noticed there was
so I'm 37. I'm a musician, professional musician. I play the cello. I started very early, so that's been my whole life, a lot of playing. And the pain started last year in August, so quite exactly, a bit more than a year ago. And at first it was just on the hand, left hand. I didn't know what it was, just very discreet, and then it evolved after a month or two. Right side developed as well and got actually worse than the left side. And with time, the symptoms got way more painful and developed over like along the path of the nerves, and quite much as well, like in the chest and in the back and in the shoulder blades and the neck sometimes. But yeah, it's been different symptoms, nothing up towards the head, as I've heard some people have had, but mostly out towards the hands and armpit. And one thing that probably has led me to have this problem is the fact that I'm hypermobile, or at least I've heard this from many doctors. And I guess with the fact that I carry like my cello and, just with the years, I guess, carrying stuff, the joints probably don't hold up so well. And that this has probably worsened my posture here. And that what I need now is like figure out a way to fix it somehow. But I don't know how feasible this is, like to train back the muscles in this part.
Now, she's 100% right here in the fact that her pain most likely came from her carrying around her cello for years on end. And on top of that, most musicians have to play their instruments out in front of them, which means all these muscles in the front of the body will most likely get shorn and overwhelmed, which then creates that kind of pain.
I noticed that you seen multiple people.
Yeah.
And it looks like some of it's helped, some of it's not. You want to kind of walk me through all that?
Yeah. So I've had a long time ago an issue with tendonitis on my right shoulder when I was studying, when I was 20 or something. So, and that took maybe a year or a year and a half before it got fixed. And so I knew that I had help from acupuncture and that kind of thing. So I directly went to that instead of going to the doctor and figure out what it was. I thought, oh, this is surely some kind of inflammation. I go to the acupuncture, it's going to be fine. And osteopath and stuff like that. And at first it helped, but then something happened, it got worse. And then I got to the doctors, they did some kind of tests like MRI and EMG, like some kind of nerve conductivity tests. And the MRI showed one disc that was slightly bulged, but not enough that they could determine that it was this. And it was not exactly at the correct spot because it was between C5 and C6, and my symptoms were in the ulnar side. So it was inconclusive, and the EMG showed nothing in the wrist or elbow, either side, but it showed some nerve root problems. So it was a bit like weird, right? But then the doctors here didn't go further. They just told me, well, it's a mystery, good luck. And that's when I kind of continued with the physiotherapy and different kind of massage therapists. And in July, I finally had no therapist around and started looking up things myself and learned a lot more about TOS. And I had no idea this is what I had along all this time. And when I started reading about the symptoms that people have and how it works here, it was like, of course, this is of course what I have. And so I've been trying to massage and do some exercises, and all the exercises that I had tried before that the therapist gave me did not work in the way that it helped maybe a bit, but then something made that the pain got worse. So I could never do the exercises for a long period. I always had to go down or stop. And since July, with the massages, I am now able to do some exercises with no flare-ups, with no reaction to this motion.
So why was it that Leonor was able to feel better with massage plus exercise versus just exercise alone? Well, let me explain with a few rubber bands. Now, in order to understand why we are able to see better results with massage and exercise versus exercise alone, we have to understand how the body pretty much works and where the nerves, which is this yellow portion, are comprised of, basically where they are at. So in this situation, we're going to pretend we have our scapula with our pec minor and our rhomboids. And in this situation, this would be a normal scapula where you have a balance between both the muscles that are controlling the joint. But in this case, when it came to Leonor, she had usually a lot more tension in the pec minor right here, which then pulls it towards the front. And that's how you get not only this rounded shoulder posture, but this compression, even more, this tightness on the nerves. On top of that, if you take a look at the rhomboids, they get stretched out. And when a muscle gets stretched out, it becomes weak. So when she tries to just exercise this, she is literally trying to pull all of this extra tension here, and she's not able to do it. Now, some of you may be also asking, well, why can't we just stretch out these damn muscles? Well, the reason why we cannot just simply stretch out these muscles, basically, is because after years and years of being in this position, we have what's called fascia that also ends up wrapping around this and locking this in this position. Now, don't get me wrong, fascia can also wrap around the rhomboids as well. I just don't have enough plastic wrap right now. So in this situation, though, you can't just stretch this out anymore. You can't stretch out this extra connective tissue, which is why we need to massage out the connective tissue. We need to loosen it up, technically, what we're doing here, which then allows you to stretch out these muscles, or at minimum, give this back muscle, the rhomboid, a chance to pull the scapula back. This is why massaging and then exercising works better versus just exercising alone. Because then when you actually add the massage and you loosen up the muscles and the fascia, that joint gets to come back to its normal position. Now, after talking about the different exercises that she already tried, we went into what her doctor was telling her about the scapula and my theory as to what was really happening at the time.
So this is like my default position. And then she was teaching me to correct this and rotate the scapula outwards or upwards.
Upp med bh-bandet, alltså vänta. Upp med det. Det ska ut uppåt mot taket. Bara upp? Ja, bara upp.
Like
Där,
that.
bra.
That my scapula is too downward rotated, that I need to like pull them up.
Okay. I mean, she's probably a lot smarter than me when she's right there for that. So if that's the situation there, then I would still try to pull up and then start to pull back then to try to strengthen that as well. But yeah, that makes sense to me then. If that is too low based on her opinion, she's there to see you, then yeah, 100% then. You want to create some sort of elevation. Now, what I noticed there was your left side's way higher, right?
Yeah.
Than your right. So I'm sorry to ask, but are you able to pull that back up real quick?
Yeah, no problem.
So what I'm noticing here is there's an interesting pull to the left side.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the left side's kind of taking the blunt force for the pull. You're using the right side a lot more too often, and you start to develop pain. And then a few months later, make sure this is correct. You start to feel pain on the left side as well. Or was it the left side first, then the right side?
Actually, it was the opposite. It's quite
Left side
strange.
first?
Yeah.
Okay. So that theory kind of goes both ways, unfortunately. So it kind of helps me out here. So in that case, the way I like to think about it is maybe you're overusing the left side a little too much in order to compensate for the right side, which we do a lot. And then when you start to feel pain on that left side, you start to kind of stop using it. So then you start to force your right side more, which then makes it kick in a lot faster. So the right side's already worn out, tear, overused. So then the body starts using the left side naturally. So then you start to slowly feel that, stop using it. Start using the side that's already overused. So then you start to feel that a month or two later. Then they kind of, that's how my theory about this. And then again, the scapula needs to get pulled up, which again kind of shows that it's fighting that direction. The front's getting pulled, that side's higher, and there's some sort of weird like synergistic dominance here, or what is it? Synergistic inhibition, basically, something like that. I totally forgot what the word was. But there's like one muscle's keeping the other one from firing up.
Yeah, sure.
So my guess is if you try to release the left side traps, levator, scapula, and all that, that might actually help with the other side in order to create that contraction a little easier.
All right, let's backtrack here for a second. First, her doctor mentioned that she needs to perform some more upward rotation, and there's 3 muscles that can do that. First, you have the upper traps, the serratus anterior, and then the lower traps. And all 3 of these will help create an upward rotation in the scapula, especially when you're moving your arm up, which is something she wasn't doing in the video, and so that didn't catch at that time. Now, why was her doctor telling her she needed to perform more upward rotation? Well, it's mainly because she is stuck in a downward rotation instead, and she's trying to get these muscles to fire up in order to create more of that movement. Now, in this situation, I do believe it's her lower traps and her serratus anterior that really isn't firing up, because most of us usually have an overactive upper trap here. Now, second, let's talk about her left side taking a beating. And when I said that her left side is taking a beating, or it looks like it is, what I mean by that is that her upper traps look like they are more activated than the right side, leading to a contractile pull to the left. And of course, when the body works in patterns, if one of those sides is going to be tight, we can probably find another side that's going to be tight as well. Take a look at the body from the top of the head and divide it up into 4 pieces. You got the front left, the front right, the back left, and the back right. Well, if her back left is tight, in this case the upper traps on the left side, then if we take a look at the cross section, the front side, the front right, then we can also take an educated guess and saying that that side is most likely tight as well. And we can kind of confirm that knowing that she is right hand dominant, and we'll confirm it even more in video number 2, which you'll be able to watch right after this. Just make sure to finish this one first. Now, do you see how the body's pretty much trying to balance itself out? When one side becomes tight and overactive, the body's going to try to compensate by making the other side tight and overactive in order to create that balance. Because if one side gets tight versus the others, you're going to end up getting a pull. And in her case, it would have been a pull up to the left. But because, like I said, the body likes to balance itself out, you end up having this kind of lower right side and higher left side versus a straighter shoulders posture, basically. So again, the answer here is to actually massage out those upper traps in the left side, and then the pec minor and maybe even the pec major on the right side in the front. And this is going to be able to help you actually train those other muscles that you're trying to fire up. For example, like the serratus anterior and the lower traps. Now, after our talk, I sent Leonor access to my 21-day TOS challenge so she can begin fixing her pain on her own. And if you want to see how her progress is going, then make sure to click on the video in the top right corner, which is part 2 out of 4.